Well, I'm down here today playing with some guns. And one of the things I was working was with the M1a. Now this has got a peep sight. You know, I'm not real fond of peep sights except for real long range. But this you're pretty much stuck with that. Now, the sights that are on this are the national match sights, which, as though maybe for target shooting, all right, but that's a very small aperture, or let's say it was a very small aperture. Okay, the stock national match is 0.0595 or 0.0520. And I suspect this was the finer of the two because it was really small. I had a problem that's been hard to work around. Okay, see, like, okay, this is your aperture. Now, when you're looking through it, you always get this feeling like there's something in there. You know, there's a kind of like a line, like you'd think there was like a little piece of hair or fuzz or something going right across it. And I've run into this before with other peep sights. If that hole gets too small, now this has also got the smaller front blade sight on it, which is a national match too. And it's, you know, I like that front sight having that narrow blade. But what happens with this, when I get that fuzzy line, it's all right if you, like say your blade goes up to here, as long as you don't pull it up any higher. Well, this is a little bit off because that fuzzy line actually comes right at the top. You know, it's an optical illusion is what it is, but it comes right at the top. But if you pull it down or get this sight up anything above the center, it throws, you get like a split image. So the sight will be fine and then it'll be off to the side. It'll split right there. And I, you know, played around, working around it, but you actually have to have the blade slightly below center, or you run into that optical problem. It reminds me of some of the old film cameras that used a split image to focus. And that's what I kept running into. So finally, what I ended up doing, see the standard, like I say, this is for the national match. And I'm pretty sure it was a small one. But what I ended up doing was drilling, okay, let's say the standard is 0.069 for the standard M14 M1a, which is a bigger sight, but these national matches, they use that really small aperture. What I had to end up doing was drilling mine to 0.060. Then I got rid of that split image thing. Now it works fine. Now, like I say, I bought this gun used, and I don't know if somebody at one time switched that sight, because it's relatively easy to do, and there's a lot of them available, different. And people get into the theory of, you know, a really small hole is going to make it more accurate, which isn't really always the case, especially, like I say, if you get down too small, you start getting that optical thing. I think it works If you ever worked with pinhole cameras, They don't use a lens, simply a pinhole, and they throw the image upside down on the film. I think that's what it's starting to do when you get that small. You know, I ran into the same problem on my 4570 when I put that Lyman sight on. Now, Lyman comes with two different sights, two different apertures. The regular hunting one, which is a pretty big hole. You know, that's large. And then the target one, which is smaller, but it's still a fairly good-sized hole. You know, bigger than what you'd expect. I think it's just a little under that one. Well, the small one fits this size drill bit. This one fits this size drill bit. And that works all right, but it's, you know, for long range target, you know, it's still, you got a very wide field of view. So there's a guy who makes aftermarket ones, and I picked up one of them that's got a really small hole in it. Now I ran into that same problem where I started getting that fuzzy line in there, running at that same angle. And you know, at first I thought, well, it's to do with my glasses, or is it my eyes, or what is the problem? But I think it's just that pinhole effect, because I can actually shoot perfectly fine without my glasses with this type of sight. But what I ended up doing was drilling this one out just slightly bigger than what it came, and then it works fine. But you know, it's a tricky thing. And I couldn't find any information on that. But when you get up into that, you know, it comes right at an angle across the sight, and you get that split image. Well, then you can be a long ways off. You know, it makes it difficult. And plus, where that split is kind of fuzzy. But I couldn't find any information where anybody else has ever run into that problem. That's why I kept thinking, well, I've got to be doing something wrong. So I ended up having to sight it in below center to keep it out of that fuzzy area. Well, finally today, then I went and I drilled it out to this. But basically, what I'm right in the middle between the National Match sight and the stock sight. But that National Match was just too small, or perhaps there was a problem with the hole not being perfectly round. Because it didn't take a lot of material out, but now it works great. You know, in these sights, like I said, I don't like modifying stuff, but this was really difficult to use the way it was. And though I could work around it, like I said, by sighting it in to keep it down, it wasn't ideal. So I finally just broke down and drilled it. Complex sight works very well. You know, it's nice to have the clicks and stuff, but I don't. For my uses, that National Match really wasn't the way to go. I think a standard sight, well, or even just like I say, I'm halfway between the two. That puts me in a lot better position. But I suspect that that hole might not have been drilled perfectly round. Because it works good now, and I don't get any of that. And like I say, I don't know, because I had the same problem on this one when I used that really small hole. I was getting that same angle, same everything, you know, just identical. You know, which makes me start thinking, oh, my glasses. But like I say, I can shoot these without my glasses perfectly fine with a peep sight. It kind of compensates for that. And I've had other people look through this sight. And people, yeah, it's kind of funny because people don't notice it until you point it out to them. You know, otherwise they just take it for granted, you know, that it's working properly. But when you point it out to them, then they'll notice, oh yeah, right there, at the point where you want to aim, you get that split image. It's interesting, but it's just funny. I had never had anybody else mention that. Like I say, I'm down shooting. Mosquitoes are vicious. But the guy in the post office gave me one of these to try. Bug X30. And it is, you know, on a wipe. And by golly, I'm impressed. Because they're particularly vicious today. You know, it's calm and they're just ready to bite. So that works. And this now works for me. And I'm glad to have that problem solved because, you know, it's hard to make a gun accurate when your sights are doing a split image thing. But it's funny, you know, looking in them forums and stuff, I cannot find that anybody else has run into that problem. So like I say, I've seen it not only on this gun, well, even on my, one of the Williams sights, I had the same problem where I looked through it and that line was there. You know, but that's what made me think, oh, maybe it's my glasses, but like I say, I don't need glasses to shoot those. But that's why I really don't care for it. So it's all right when you get this big sight like this, you know, you got a big hole you're looking through, and then you don't run into that problem. And it isn't a matter of light, because I've done it, I've seen it on bright days, I've seen it on cloudy days, like today it's quite overcast. And it was very apparent until I drilled it. I got rid of it. You know, I guess most people, they don't actually get into that too far. You know, they'll immediately put a scope on. But there's got to be people who are doing a competition shooting that have run into that same problem before. You know, I thought at first, some of these natural match, they come with a hooded sight. Well, I've tried hood and I've tried everything. The advantage to the hooded version of the natural match is that you can adjust them like the equal of a half a click by rotating at half a turn. You know, they vary that way. These aren't. These are set at that. And it's interesting. I'd just be curious if somebody's run into that before. I mean, I got it licked now, but I'm just curious if anybody's had to deal with that.